Welcome, welcome, welcome back to Truth Quest. My name is Aaron Moriarty. I will be your host, and we're going to go on a quest for truth together. And today, folks, we have a special friend for you, Elizabeth Reyes. Elizabeth, welcome to the Truth
Hi.
Quest.
Thank you for having me.
You're very, very welcome. So now I understand that, well, why don't you say a little bit about yourself so that people can know something about you if they haven't seen you before?
I didn't rehearse this part. um, well, oh God, I don't know what to say.
Well, you're
I
an experiencer. You've seen
I
things.
am. Yeah, I have. I've been around in the conspiracy community, UFO community for since 2006, and just kind of, I had my little conspiracy blog way back then, and I've just kind of been here and there, but yeah, and I've just I'm nervous, so
No,
you're
no
gonna have to.
need to be nervous.
Yeah.
Well, now we did talk the other day, so I took notes. Now, you told me that when you were living over there in the great state of Florida,
Yes.
about
My home state.
1904, and
Yes.
at your grandparents' house, you saw something unusual. What did you see?
Um, well, yeah, I was living with my grandparents at the time, and I was at this time I was driving. I was going near the beach, and I was going down this road. It was kind of like a fairly new area where they were just building subdivisions and everything. And I was it was 10:30 at night, and I was driving, just listening to music, and on the corner of my eye, on the right side, east, it wasn't even that far away. It was maybe 200 feet away from me, 200, 300 feet, but it was like, it was, I now, what I know now is a TR-3B, hovering over houses, or over like one house in this little subdivision, because you could see the little light, and it was just there still. And I wasn't sure what it was. I'm like, what is going on? And because I've watched the X-Files before, and I'm like, I've seen that before. I'm like, it's real. So I'm sitting there, and so I pull over, and I just sit, and I get out of the car, and I'm just standing there just looking at it. I'm like, no one's stopping. No one else sees this. I feel like I'm the only one. It's at night, and it's triangle shaped. It's like huge. It's like, it was over one house specifically, but what little bungalow, but it was basically the size of three, if you know what I mean. And the one in the middle, it was just hovering directly, just barely over the treetops, the pine trees. They weren't very tall, and it had like that middle light with the lights on the peaks and everything. That middle light, and it was just turning on and off like slowly, like this. I mean, that's just what the light was doing. And I was like, what is going on? And so it does that. And I'm just like, I've got time. So I'm just gonna watch what it's doing. And it does that for a few minutes, and then it stops. And then slowly it just starts moving. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get my car. So I go down, I follow it. There's not a lot of traffic on the road. I follow it a little bit, and it just goes to the next subdivision, and does the same exact thing over a house. And then it just does that thing. And where I'm from, Jacksonville, Florida, has a lot of military bases, but I didn't put that together, um, experimental craft or anything like that. It was 94. And I'm just watching it and just doing the same thing. And then after a while, it does kind of it starts to move away to where I can't really see it. So I'm like, okay, I gotta, you know, I'll go. And it was just weird. And nobody believed me. You know, my dad didn't really believe me. He's like, it's probably some kind of airplane, because there's like an airfield right there as well. But it's we've been to the airfield. My dad used to take me to that airfield, and it's small. So yeah, it was the strangest thing. And ever since then, I've had or noticed more, had like dreams of you know, abductions and things like that. But it's not, I don't know. It was just, I think it was the first time where I started to realize that those things were real, you know, and
Yeah.
that, and it was weird because it was just like on the, you know, the original X Files, like way back then. And I was like, whoa. But
Wow. Now, which do you remember which Air Force base was nearby, or which military base? Do you remember?
it was about 7 miles near Mayport, because it
Mayport.
was yeah, because there's, you know, people who I grew up with will know, there's Atlantic Boulevard, and then there's Beach Boulevard, and this road I was on was this way in between the two, going towards the beach. And you know, that way, diagonal 7 miles. It was only 7 miles to the naval base. Um, but
Okay. Wow.
yeah,
So now, so at the time, you're probably thinking, well, this might be an alien craft.
I thought it was aliens. Yeah, I was
Might,
like, oh my god, I saw a UFO.
I mean, it might be. I know we do have some that are triangle, but we don't
Yeah,
have a patent on a shape. I mean, you know.
true. But I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't know. Still. I mean, even my son, I told my son about it, and he actually drew it for me, like perfect. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, that's it. I was looking for it because I wanted to show you, but I can't find it at the moment because it was a while back.
Well, I think
But
that anyone who is not familiar, they can look up the TR-3B,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it was made by Lockheed Martin, I believe. And
Hmm.
there's even they've released patents. The Navy has released patents on this craft, its
Yeah.
propulsion system, and everything. And the way I hear it, it's because China got access to the homebrew server of our Secretary of State at the time,
Yeah.
who had it, an open door to the Chinese, and they took all of our SAP Special Access Program material information, and they took it. So now we're like in a rush to release these patents so that we don't have to pay China for something we developed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That it's almost like Cold War all over again, you
yeah,
know, except it's, you know, space tech or something.
Cold
But
War, Cold War warmed over again.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. The
it's
90s were crazy with a lot of that.
they were, and 1997 was supposed to be the disclosure year. They were gearing up. That was supposed to be it.
Yeah.
But every time they have a date and time, in mind, it gets pushed
It's
back.
yeah, always gets pushed back. I don't trust dates and times anymore.
No, me either. No. So, now you mentioned that you had some dreams as well. Now you're also friends with Todd and Carrie Swearingen,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. We've actually, them and I have talked a lot about our experiences and things. And I've had, like, after that, like the 90s, it was weird because at the time, living at my grandparents' house, I don't know what it is about my grandparents' house, could be the area or something, but I was always dreaming of being taken or being visited. Um, Especially in my room, there was a, when I would dream, And well, the dreams that I would dream about being taken were pretty lucid. You know, I'm looking at myself. I'm like, am I dreaming? What am I, you know, is this pulling my hair? And but there's one that I actually didn't tell you about. There was one dream I had where I was sleeping in my bed, um, and all of a sudden the the wall is gone, or well, not gone, but like see through. It was almost like it was open, and there was like five beings, approximately five, but they were grays, but they were blue.
Hmm.
They had black jumpsuits on, and at this time I kind of knew that I was not awake, and I was like determined to take a photo. And I was like, in my dream, I had my camera, and as soon as I thought of it, um, they it kind of, it was weird. It was almost like, you know, they take it and it's like floating next to me out of my reach, and I'm just like, well, you know, it was around my wrist with a little strap, and then all of a sudden it was like just floating away from me, and they were I was floating. It was very odd. And because I get kind of snarky, so I'm like, you know, I'm just like, well, you're not, this isn't gonna be the last time, you know, I'm gonna get you one of these days. But I don't know, it was just odd. That was it for that dream. It was just one of those, oh, that was weird, you
Wow.
know, the next morning.
Now, how long ago was that dream?
That was 98,
98. Okay.
97, 98.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just before,
Um,
just before the
yeah,
turn of the century. Yeah.
yeah. So, and I I don't know. It was, I when I dream, a lot of the times I can dream normally, but then every so often there will be this huge lucid dream, and like I'll see things, or I've seen people in my room before. Um, about the time I was experimenting with out of body experiences, and you know, just trying, and I got used to the feeling of the whole, like when you're dreaming, you know, popping out of your body, um, uh, and there's that gray zone, when you're trying to, because I would, you know, do little exercises, meditations, and things like that, and it helped me a lot with, you know, things that were going on in my life. But then I discovered that I could come out and I could see things. But this one time, um, there was always people following me around in that gray zone. Like when I started hearing people talking or whispering, I would look up, and I would look back at myself and know that I was sleeping. But then I'd see like shadows. This particular time was shadows of children, about four or five children, differing heights, against the window, so I couldn't see. They were like silhouettes, and I look over and I'm not scared, and they're like, "She sees us," and yeah, it was it was so weird. And I'm trying to, you know, get out of my body, but there was something, I think, I don't know if it was the blanket or something, it was just pulling me, but like my hands were out like that, my feet were up, and but I know where they were there because I kept hearing voices whenever I'm like almost asleep but not awake. Um, yeah, this just, I don't know. I think it was a really, that I think it was a 10-year period between 95 and 2005 where I was like having all these experiences, and you know, I couldn't explain them. They were just there. And whenever I talk about them, people are like, "Oh, Lisa, you're weird," or, you know, I don't know. But now I know people.
Huh? Cool to
So
be now.
yeah, it's nice to, you know, not be so weird. I'm not crazy.
Well, in the past, many, thousands of years ago, if someone saw something, it would end up like in a Bible or something like that. Nowadays, they just, they don't even listen to you. So
Yeah,
kind of weird, but yeah,
coincidence theorists.
you see something, experience something, you saw it. Nobody can tell you you didn't see it. No one's going to tell you you didn't see that triangle shaped craft because
Yeah,
you saw it. Now
yeah.
you saw it at night. So was there any way to tell what kind of color? Was there any reflective light hitting it?
Well, it was black specifically, but it was more the time of year was um summerish because it was about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, but the sky wasn't black. It was more like a midnight blue. So you could still kind of see the silhouette of it. Um, and Florida nights. But yeah, I'll never forget it. That's
Wow.
like I even looked up to show my son when we were talking about it. I looked it up on Google Earth, and yeah, I was like, it was right here. It was right here above these houses. He's
Wow.
like, yeah,
That's
so crazy.
wow. And maybe you could take like one of the pictures of the TR3 beam, just place it on that Google map and have that be like a record of what you saw.
Yeah, well, yeah, he does a lot of 3D animation and stuff. I might
Wow.
ask him to
That'd be cool.
recreate it. Yeah, like a
That would,
still image of it.
that would be very, very cool. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now you also had a dream about, no, wait a minute. Let's go a different route. I want to ask you about your organite that you make. Organite, is that right?
Oh, I did. I used to around the same time.
Uh,
Um, I was I was like convinced I could, stop, you know, from, them from messing with me. I mean, uh, every time I'd be on the phone with my friends, there would be clicking
mhm.
on the thing, and at the time, this was, I think this was about 2001, 2002. No, no, it was it was about 2005 because it was after. Sorry, because I remember my son was with me. Um, and he was maybe one and a half, walking around and stuff. My little shadow. So, but we were living with my grandparents at the time, and my grandparents' house again. Um, the clicking on the phone line because they had the same number since my dad was a kid, like since the 50s, um, or the 60s or something, and it was just well established. And they had like this big green phone box like right at the end of their driveway. And when I was on the internet talking to my friends on like webcam and stuff, but even like without the webcam, I'm on MySpace, you know, with my little conspiracy blog, right? I'm writing, and all of a sudden the light would come on the camera,
Wow.
and I'm like, is this supposed to happen? I was like, are people looking at me? So I put a little cup on the camera because you know. So I start looking for solutions. Protective shields, all this stuff. I've always been doing like energy work here and there, like without knowing what it is. Um, so I'm on this website, educateyourself.org. I love that site. It was Don Croft, RIP. But yeah, I learned how to make organite on that site. And so I started doing it. And I started doing, the spirals and the qubits and adding different gemstones and stuff. But as a as an experiment, I'm like, okay, if this works like it says it does, I'm going to put it next to, surround the phone box outside. So I do that. I bury 4 pieces of organite, one on each corner, um, and things were fine. Um, and there were no clicks anymore. So, I mean, I don't know if it was coincidence or what, but there were no clicks. And yeah, I felt like I was being left alone. Um, and I think it was either the next day or a couple days later when I saw the phone guy. Actually, he had the whole thing off. He was like fixing it. I'm leaving for work or something, and there's the phone guy um, messing with wires and kind of like this. I don't know what he was doing as a phone guy, but but then after that, the clicks were back. So yeah, I don't know. See, and I was making these connections, not really knowing if it was, if my connections were, verifiable or not, but just doing it just in case, throwing everything at it just in case something works. So, and if it works, great, no harm done. But the clicks were gone,
And you
and
can't,
yeah,
you must have
and
put,
I used to be able to hear people talking as well on the phone. It's like I know there are wires crossed or something, or someone's listening or whatever, and it was always coupled with the clicks.
wow,
So
interesting.
I don't know.
So now, so you don't make the organite anymore, but
I don't, only because life
yeah,
happens,
kind of
motherhood.
smelly stuff to make, isn't it?
It is, and where I am now, that there's no real, because it's too cold outside. I'm in England now. It's
Uh,
too cold outside to do anything. It's wet, and inside you need ventilation, and I don't want to open the windows because it's too freaking cold. So
well, maybe you could figure out some kind of organic organite, that you put in your garden and it kind of like melts away or something.
I've actually made all kinds of organite with beeswax.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I used to put them in baby food jars because I didn't really have any. Because
Uh-huh.
at the time, I'm poor at the time, so I just baby food jars. Here, Dad, put this in your car. Why? I don't know.
Well,
Just just do it.
that was,
Okay.
yeah, probably give
Yeah.
him a lot of good luck and protection from something.
Well, he said about a week later, he's like, ever since you gave this to me, everything keeps going wrong. I'm like, what? That's not supposed to happen.
Oh,
Um,
no.
I'm like, sorry, but
Oops.
I explained to it, kind of what it was, but I'm like, maybe that's supposed to happen. Hmm.
But then he helped you later to distribute these, isn't it,
Yes.
to lakes and whatnot.
Yeah, my dad is awesome. I uh, I made a whole bunch of tower busters, like the small ones. Um, because at the time there's, the crystal store nearby. I could get like for 20 bucks for a pound. So I'd buy like, 2 pounds of just little crystal points, and I went at it. Um, I think I had about 4 or 5 uh, muffin tins, but 12 slotted muffin tins, and I just filled a Rubbermaid container. Um, when I was done, and I put them in the back of my car. And that night, um, my dad asked me where I was going. He's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm," so I had to tell him. I'm like, cell phone towers and everything, you know, like that guy in the meme. And he's like, "I don't understand, and I don't really know why you're doing it, but I'm gonna go with you, you know, to protect me, I guess,
Yeah.
11 o'clock at night because it's, incognito and I'm dressed in black. So, so yeah, we go, um, we gift every cell phone tower on the south side of Jacksonville with a bunch of pieces of organite. Um, and yeah, even the little creek, I threw one in there. I mean, it's not littering, you know, but but yeah, and my dad even I had this thought, and I was going to do it regardless because of where my mind was at the time, because I had just discovered this whole world that I didn't know about. So I thought I would gift some Masonic temples with organite. So my dad's like, no, you stay here. Because I was driving, you know. He's like, you stay here. I'll do it. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. So he's like, he buries them like I was like, just in the corner and then run. And he's like, he goes and he climbs the fence and he buries it like in the back. He's like, it's just so nobody can see it. I'm like, my dad's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah,
You're playing the Mission
trust,
Impossible theme, right?
yeah, he trusted me. So I'm like, I would not lie to you, Dad. So
Very cool. That's great.
yeah, and poor Sirius is like in the back of the car. Yeah.
So you said you're in England now. Have you been to any of the ancient megalithic sites out there?
Unfortunately not. I do have a friend who goes and sees some often. He lives in Wales. I have seen Stonehenge with my eyes. I didn't get to visit it in person,
Okay.
but it's one of those things. It's not it's not in a book. It's not on the internet. It's I actually saw it with my own two eyes. We were driving past, and I'm like, at least I've seen it. You know what?
That's cool. That's cool.
So, but yeah, there are a lot of actually where I am now. I'm right smack dab on St. Michael's ley line.
Oh,
I'm in the east of England, so it's like I'm right on the line,
wow.
which yeah, which it actually gives a good energy to the house because in the last house I was in, there was a lot of um, we had ghosts in our house.
Really?
Yeah, I had a like moving like toys and things, and I would feel at night I would feel like I wouldn't want to go to bed because as soon as it was time to go to bed, I got this like anxiety feeling. And a lot of the time I would wake up in the middle of the night just feel like I couldn't breathe and I put it down to anxiety sometimes, but it was like every time, every night. So, but here it's like it's so clear. Oh, this is what I haven't told you the other night. When up to the point to where I moved in 2009, and about this time the UFO dreams were happening all the time, like almost every night, um, and it was crazy. It was even through the speakers, like I felt like it was targeted. I don't know if I was, I don't know, but as soon as we landed, and for like about 6 months after, when I would sleep, there there was nothing. There was no waking up, no UFO dreams. I haven't had a UFO dream in ages until about 2 years ago. Um, it was like it stopped. Everything stopped. So it's like she's gone. We don't know where she is. So, but it was weird. Even laying down, you know how you see the shadows move. You know, shadow people. It's everybody sees them, right? When they're just lying awake at night. There was nothing. The first time I had ever seen nothing at night like that. It was so crystal clear. I mean, yeah, it was very odd. But
Just for the record, I've never seen shadow people.
really?
No, I've seen
Oh,
pictures. I've seen pictures of shadow people. They're
maybe
very
maybe it's one of those things. Oh, you're weird, Lisa.
no, we all have different experiences, so it's really interesting to hear everybody's experience.
Yeah, it's kind of like at night when when your eyes are open and there's no lights, like no street lights reflecting or anything, and just I guess it just kind of like the shadows just kind of move, but they do the same thing. Oh, am I have you've never had that? Well, I don't know. I don't know what that is then. But yeah, I just called it shadow people. Um
Oh,
like
when you close your eyes or when you open your eyes?
when my eyes are open at
Oh,
night, like before you go to bed, and I would just kind of like, look around, and the shadows would move. And I just thought it was just, kind of like when you rub your eyes, and you know
uh-huh.
that's just what I thought it was. But then I knew it wasn't when I'm here, and then all of a sudden there's nothing. It's like, why is the blackness not moving? What's happening? Yeah, why is it clear?
Wow. So
I don't
you,
even know if that. Yeah, I'm not sure if that makes sense to a lot of people, because I actually thought everyone experienced that.
no, I've never experienced that.
Wow.
I have weird light shows when I close my eyes. I have weird, strange little light shows that happen.
Yeah.
In my room with my eyes closed sometimes.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. I've seen that. Yeah, but it was weird. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what that means then, because I thought it happened to everybody.
No, I
But
mean, if you have like brothers or sisters that might be like running around and make,
no, I mean, my brother and my sister, they're living in different states and everything, so
maybe they didn't show up because you did shadow work.
probably. I don't know, but it was weird, because I was in a place I didn't, I didn't I didn't recognize. And so I
So
don't
you're
know.
used to all these shadow people running about your bedroom. Wow,
It,
that's wild.
now that I think about it, talking to you right now, I'm like, wait a minute. If not, I don't know. It's kind of freaking me out now. I'm just like, wait a minute. So were they shadow people? I thought I was just a name for me. It was like, I don't know.
It might be some kind of anomaly with your eyes. Is that what you're thinking?
Possibly.
Okay.
Possibly. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It's weird. It's amazing our eyes even work, you know. It's
Yeah. I mean, I get them now. Um, I mean, I've been here like 12 years now, so I mean, I get them now.
oh yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
but it's like
you
it's
found
just normal. Yeah, they found me. They found me.
wow. It's
But
wild. That is wild.
it's not scary or anything.
No?
Mm, it's not scary, because I guess I just thought that's just what the blackness did. That's what darkness did. Um, I don't
Wow.
know.
That's wild. Now I know every time, like when I was a kid, I'd see a shadow move and it was, because the fan was, blowing a shirt that was hanging over something or, you know, um,
Yeah,
and
I would never sleep with my closet door open though.
yeah,
Yes, that's one thing.
I never
When I was a
did
kid.
find that alligator under my bed, but I'm pretty sure he was there.
It's where they live.
Pardon?
It's where they live.
It's where they live, right.
It's just where they live.
Now in Florida, you actually have alligators. Now I grew up mostly in Minnesota. We didn't have any chance to have alligators running around.
Yeah, yeah, I kind of miss it. I kind
But
of miss seeing the random alligator.
really?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I mean, you go have a picnic with your family when you're a kid, and it's near a little lake, and you see just a little gator just hanging out, sunning itself, and you just knew not to touch it. And I was like, oh, cool, mom, an alligator. And she's like, oh, cool, don't go near it. Okay. And I just do something else, because
Wow.
it's just normal.
Did you
I,
want to
I
go
miss it.
ride it or something like a pony or something? Some
Yeah.
kid try that. That might
Oh,
be a good idea.
yeah. I don't know. I've never thought to do that either. It's like kids who aren't used to it. I don't know, but
Wow.
my dad used to take me to all those places, but
It, it, alligators
affinity for nature.
alligators and crocodiles are they're wild. I mean, they were around during dinosaur times. So
Yes.
if we would have become extinct, we'd be looking, at a dinosaur museum at an alligator and going, what was this creature like? You know?
Yes.
But now they're like climbing the fence, getting into the pool. And
Yeah, I'm afraid of water. I'm afraid of water. I'm afraid of pools and by myself. I'm
yeah.
afraid of pools and the ocean. But other than that, alligators don't bother me. I'm just like, leave 'em alone.
Well, that's good. That's a very good thing that the alligators don't bother you. Now, you,
Anyway,
you told me about another dream that you had about people. Now, I can't remember if you said they were aliens or people dressed in red jumpsuits.
yes. Yeah, this one was weird. Um, it was very, I want to say lucid, but it was like it had an order to it. Um, where my grandparents' house, my grandparents live right next door. They have like there's a big plot of land. It's not that big, but it's pretty big. And there was an old man who used to have like a little a little mobile home there. Lived there for the longest time. And in that dream, I dreamed that I was being I was driven to that spot. I mean, it's right next door, but I was driven. So I'm like, okay. So I get out and I walk up because it's apparently I feel like that's what I'm supposed to do. I walk up and there's this guy who looked like the lead singer of this band that I was like totally loved like at the time. But I knew it wasn't him. So it was almost like I don't know, maybe it's my mind putting it there. But he was wearing like this jumpsuit. But it was weird because it was a jumpsuit like on Mork and Mindy, red with this triangle. It was like I hadn't seen that in ages. Um, but I look at him and he's like, you know, signals me to go up the stairs of these rickety stairs, like as if it was like plumbing pipes put together, to make something, DIY or something. So I'm like, okay, and it's the building. It's like a mobile home, but it's like shaped like a disc, um, which was weird. So I go up and into the doorway, and there's like this waiting room of people, and the people who are sitting down, they're waiting. They're just sitting like this, staring like dead on into space, not caring what's going on around them. And there's a lady actually at a desk. She doesn't even look at me. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So I just sit down next to this girl, and she's a teenager, just sitting just next to me like that. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, you know, what's going on? And there's this room. There's no door. It's just open, and the room is dark, but you can see what's happening. It's almost like it looks like it's like an industrial warehouse, but not. I don't know how else to explain that. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking over to them, and they are putting people in. Like there's three or four of the jumpsuited people. One of them was female, and they all have kind of like sandy blonde hair. Um, they're putting they're taking each person from the waiting room, and they are putting them in this long white like sarcophagus kind of human shaped thing. Um, it wasn't made of wood. It was like looked like composite material or something. But the front part from here to the waist down was clear, and it actually stopped at the shoulders and actually went over, if you know what I mean. Um, and they opened it and they put the person in. They closed it and it was taken away. Um, but it wasn't on wheels. it was just taken. It was as if it was like it was weightless, you know. Um, and then they just kept doing that. And then there was this one guy who was they were trying to put him in there, and he appeared as if he was awake. He's like, no, I don't want to go in there. I don't want to go in there. Um, and so they're trying to just force him into it. And he's like, no, 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 no. Um, because I can hear his voice still. This was still years ago. Um, and they put him in. They kind of lock him in. Um, and when they close it, they had a hard time closing it because he's still kind of like trying to get out. They close it, so you could hear him screaming, yelling, "Get me the f out of here! Get me out! Get me out!" And then the people kind of like, they don't stand back. They just kind of like, you know, just stand back. Not, you know what I mean. Um, sorry, this dream was just really disturbing. When he kept screaming, he kept increasing his screaming, and then all of a sudden, it was like his head blew up
Oh my.
inside the thing, and it looked like in the movies when they put something in the microwave and it goes. Pff,
Mm,
that's what it looked like.
my God.
And at that point, I was still kind of like I was aware, but I was still kind of like that. And I'm like, okay, it's time to go now. I didn't say it out loud, but I'm thinking that it's time to go. So I'm like, I can't take everyone with me, so I got to take somebody. So the girl that's next to me, I said, "You're coming with me." Um, and she just does what I say. You know, she gets up and she's just following me. I'm like, it's okay, let's just walk. And so we go to the door. Um, it's because the waiting room is like decorated like a room in my high school. It was very odd, and it was almost like I recognized the place, but I didn't. Um, I get to the door, and the guy is standing there, as if to say, "Where do you think you're going?" But that's not, you know, he didn't say anything. And I said, "I'm leaving, and I'm taking her with me. You need to move out of the way." I can't remember what I said, but it was something like that. I was kind of demanding, and so he just kind of steps to the side and just lets me walk down. And I remember what the girl was wearing. She was wearing jeans, you know, had a, you know, polo shirt. It's like yellow and white stripes. She had like light brown hair, straight and little bangs, um, white keds. Um, it was just odd. And so yeah, I take her and we get into a car, some random car that I'm supposed to go in. I know I'm supposed to go in it, and we just drive away. And I wake up after that, and then here's the kicker. See, at the time I'm like, wow, that was a weird dream, you know. So I'm sitting in my grandparents' kitchen, and they've got cable. So I'm like, okay, Sci-Fi Channel, and then it was Truth Hunters that came on, and I don't know if it was episode 1 or 2, but she was explaining how like this one person's story. She's, you know, reiterating, you know, this experience that this person had, and they had a drawing of what this person saw, and the drawing was was exactly like the room that I saw in my dream.
Oh,
And this is what still gives me goosebumps, because there was because in the room there was like this the sarcophagus things were like standing, like when they weren't being used they were standing like in a row on this thing, like I guess ready for the next one. And it was on this show, that drawing, it was like as if it they had draw it from my dream.
wow.
So I was like, whoa, come on. So this is where it started to click that these dreams were in fact some kind of visitation, because I never told anyone about that dream. Um, I've told you and Carrie and Todd. That was it. You know, you know, it
Wow,
was I had never talked about that before, and I saw that, and it really freaked me out. So
that would, oh my goodness, how traumatic. Wow, that's that's incredible. Um, so now, as you're awakening and you're watching all these programs, is there any uh, person's story or anything that struck you besides the UFO hunters? I think that was Linda Moulton Howe, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is there anything else that kind of piqued your interest and helped you to wake up that you saw?
Well, there was I mean, sometimes I would, watch things with my dad, and it's like, but I never really I never really just sat and just watched things. Um, until I swear it was I don't know how I came across Corey Good. I don't really remember. I think it was like on Facebook or something. No, I think it was on Gaia. I had Gaia at the time, and I just wanted to watch something, UFOs, Um, and the one thing that struck me about him was he was, I can't remember what it was specifically, but he would say little things here and there. I'm like, well, I dreamed that. I dreamed that. And he's describing it.
Wow.
Um, like, um, like how he would talk about some of the things that the military would do with, um, like pretend that something is an abduction. And that's why I'm like, wow, okay. But I don't know, it was just really odd because even the places where he says that he'll describe them, and you see them illustrated, and it's like that can't be happening. And it I don't really have any pieces of dreams that I remember vividly. It's with some of the things that I was seeing from his story, but it was like a lot. Some of the pictures, I was like, whoa, that looks really familiar. Um, but it's like it's one of those things where you can't place it. Um, there's one dream that I had where he described this. I can't remember when, um, but I was like on a gurney. It was weird. It was like one of those again the floating thing. There was no wheels. I was laying there, and these people were in jumpsuits, but they weren't aliens. They were human, and there was like this mountain, and we're along the sidewalk next to the mountain, and we get to the entrance, and it just kind of does that thing, and we're done waiting, and we go in, and then I don't remember anything after that. um just a lot of things like that. It's just a little snippet, and he would say something, and I'm like, that is so familiar, and it gives me goosebumps. It's like whenever he would say something, describe his experiences, and there were snippets here and there where I was like, that can't be coincidence. You know, I don't know. It's just my mind's all over the place with this because I try to reconcile it and kind of debunk it, and I try to, but it doesn't work.
Right. Yeah,
You know?
it's especially, I mean, you had the experience of actually seeing something that it really wasn't supposed to be there back in 94. So that
Yeah,
really and for the people who haven't seen a UFO yet, it's like, well, you can't tell someone who's seen something that there's no such a thing because they've
yeah,
already seen it. So um, it's almost like eyewitness testimony means nothing these days to about this subject.
Yeah. Yeah,
Whatever.
it's terrible because you know you've seen it, and then someone will say, "Oh, your eyes are playing tricks on you." No, I'm not, my brain is not that smushy. I know I saw something, you know. I don't know.
All of our brains are kind of smushy, it's kind of
Yeah. Oh,
flat.
yeah. I used to get that all the time. Your eyes are playing tricks on you.
Mhm.
No,
Yeah.
no, they weren't.
Yeah. And boy, it's frustrating too when you try to get a picture of something and you can't get the picture. It's always, of course, back in '94, there you didn't have a phone on your camera camera.
No. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't have. Yeah, when the house phone was like this big clunky thing with a big antenna, you
Mhm.
know, came in like three different colors.
The Uniden Extendaphone. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. Great. Great.
Hello.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you want to bring up?
I I I didn't write my notes down, but there were a few things that I had. A couple of them are escaping me now. Like at the now that I have you on, um, I get nervous and kind of my mind goes a little bit blank.
No worries. No worries.
Yeah.
Well, we might have you on again sometime and maybe we can go over the things that you couldn't remember. How's that?
Yeah. Yeah, because yeah, I'll write them down because or I'll tell Carrie about it.
Mhm.
Um,
Now, I have another
yeah.
question. Now, here in the States, there's a lot of like dimensions of disclosure and different things going on, UFO events. Is there anything like that? I know David Icke is over there in jolly old
Mhm.
England. Are there any things like that organized out there that you've noticed?
Sometimes there are. I think my issue is because it's just me. So if I were to go, I'd have to take my kids with me. So and that's a bit difficult. So I haven't actually. Um, if there is something, I'll usually get the live stream. Purchase the live stream or something, and my kids and I will watch it. Or
Yeah.
but yeah, there. I mean, there are a few times where my son is you know, UFO watching because I gave him a camera. I kind of indulge him in his little creative pursuits, and he's tried to take his little camera outside and film stuff. He's like, Mom, I think it's UFO. And I'm like, that one's a plane. And I'm like, sorry, honey. Um, but there's a couple times when we've just been backyard sky
Mhm.
watching,
Neat.
and there oh there was a cigar shaped one,
Oh, really?
but yeah, but I couldn't get a good close up view of it. So I couldn't really verify, but I couldn't see any wings. It was just hovering, but it was kind of like way off. And we could see it just enough in the zoom of his you know, little GoPro thingy.
Uh-huh.
It's not a GoPro, but it's
Sure.
um, and yeah, I mean, lo and behold. But other than that, yeah.
You know, one thing you might want to talk to him about is maybe doing solar obliteration photography.
What is
And
what is that?
okay, so it's where you position the camera um, where there's like a house at the edge of the house or the roof or there's some building right with the sun right behind it, and you get it as close to the edge as possible, and then you'll catch things in the vicinity of the sun that that
Oh.
are shooting by. Some of them might be bugs, some of them might be cottonwood, but seeds. But every once in a while you'll see something like, whoa, that looked like it might be a craft, because a lot of times they hide in the glare of the sun.
That's actually something we can do because we've got like houses around us like um yeah, and our backyard is north facing, so there's always like an edge where
Mhm.
there's sun here and a lot of
Yeah.
cold shade over here. But
So
yeah, definitely.
don't don't photograph or don't film any part of the sun, but just so it's completely blocked, but as close to the edge as you can get it.
It's possible. Yes.
Yeah, you'll be surprised. I did a lot of that, and I caught a lot of very interesting things.
Oh, yeah. I'll do that actually.
Cool. Well, is there anything else that you want to say to the people out there in TV land?
Oh, yeah. Keep your eyes open. Don't dismiss. Uh, yeah.
Very good. Very good. Keep your eyes open
Keep your
and
eyes open.
look up. Look up.
Yes. Be observant.
Be observant. You might not
Mental
find
notes.
people on the ground, but you might find some kind of alien craft. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you very much, Elizabeth Reyes, for coming on to Truth Quest. And until next time, folks, this is Aaron Moriarty signing off. Peace in.